let's get to the real reason you tuned into this video. And that's compass point number 2, cost. How much is this whole thing gonna cost you? So I know you've probably heard it's a lot. Because now you know who you need to hire. Next, you need to know, for those people, what does it cost? And really, the question you need to be asking yourself is whether you can afford not to spend it. Now, I know this particular topic is probably making you squirm right now and making you really anxious. So let me give you the big headline here, which is that your total cost of your professional team, believe it or not, is going to be a fraction of the value that they protect for you. So let's go through now and I'll do it in a summary fashion, go through the 3 tiers of transactions we've talked about. Expedited, this is your lean team, 5 million to 15 million enterprise value transactions. Your professional fees are going to range from 60,000 to 200,000, and your success fee is going to be in the range of 5 to 8%. Simple standard, this is your $15 million to $50 million transaction. Your professional fees are 175,000 to 475,000. Your success fee, advisory success fee, is 3 to 6%, and that's coming down. Now your complex standard, your 50 million to 100 million plus transactions, you're going to see professional fees in the range of 415,000. Your success fee on that is going to be 2 to 4%. Now from a return on investment perspective, let's put this into context here. We're going to look here at total transaction costs as percentage of enterprise value for your business. Now this is taking your professional fees, so that was the lower line item, and then adding onto it the success fee portion. And you'll notice the percentages decline with deal size as deal size increases. And that is because many of the costs that you experience are sort of semi-fixed. This is one of the problems that people have with smaller size deal transactions, is that there's just some cost to transact and sell your business that you can't avoid. And that same cost is incurred for much larger enterprise value as it is for small enterprise value. Now the expedited transactions, we're looking at 8 to 12%. Your simple standard transactions, we're looking at 5 to 8%. Then your complex standard transactions, we're looking at 3 to 6%. Because these numbers, while they seem substantial, let me just put this in perspective for you. One single poorly negotiated indemnity cap, one vague and ambiguous earn-out trigger, or the lack of operational control. You nailed the earn-out trigger, but you didn't put any operational control and restrictions in your earn-out provisions, which is the exact situation we found that Kevin missed in Claire's deal that got her into that situation. The cost of the entire professional budget, including success fee, which by the way you only pay if you succeed, right? The entire professional budget would just be peanuts compared to the amounts you'd be losing. Maybe you might even be multiples of a professional budget. And specifically, when we're dealing with Claire's situation, Claire's earnout was $5 million. In order to get paid any of it, the litigation cost her $1.5 million, and she recovered $1.5 million after 4 years. 4 years of torturous litigation. If she would have spent $400,000, we go back and look at our chart, for a experienced boutique law firm type M&A counsel that knows this size of deal, she just spent that money up front, this would have been caught, it would have been discussed, negotiated, and tightened up, and she wouldn't have lost that $5 million. So you have to think about it this way. The right team doesn't cost you money. Rather, the wrong team might cost you a fortune. Now, the real problem I see more often than not is not that founders come to me because they've spent way too much on professionals in the past. The problem I see all the time is that the founders have failed compass point number 1 and have not engaged their team until it's too late. They either have the wrong order, or they have wrong tool for the job. Like here, Kevin, not the right tool for the job. They might have exclusively hired a business broker that just doesn't have access to any of the relevant buyers. They have tied up this company and getting them, con man after con man come in to try to analyze their business. But the most common is certainly founders going at it alone, because these transaction costs are a big number, and there's a belief that if I could just get my business sold without incurring all these transaction costs, that's just money, more money in my pocket, and it's a lot of money, but it just doesn't happen that way. Because this is the demon you're going to confront. You're going to either be probably one of two things. You're going to be using somebody that's success fee only, so you're like, oh, this is free, I don't have to pay for this. Or you're going to simply wait to start paying the right professionals that know what they're doing until you have a buyer and a good number on a piece of paper. And then you're like, now I've got a number, I've got a buyer, now I'll go hire somebody to paper it up. That's what I hear all the time. And that temptation is going to be real. You're going to feel it. You're probably thinking it right now. But I assure you that neither that buyer that you found without having your A.R.M.O.R team protect you and find the right ones and create a competitive process, or that number that they wrote down on that piece of paper, neither of those things are going to hold up. And then where you're going to find yourself is having to start all over again after wasting all this time, and you're probably going to be convincing the market that they're going to think there's something real nasty in your business, and that's why you couldn't sell it, even though that's not it at all. You just didn't have anybody around you that you needed to actually go through a sales process, and you got stuck with a con man. You have to all the way start over and assemble the right team, like I explained in Compass Point number 1 under our people section. And this is what I call a false start. When you get in one of these false starts, you're going to be bleeding money for like 2-3 years, slow bleed, trying to fix the mess that you found yourself in. Because the type of people that do transactions without the right professionals are more often than not con men. And then if you're lucky, you'll get the privilege of starting over and have the chance to assemble the people that I've discussed in Compass Point 1, so you can have a successful transaction after already wasting time and money, and you're going to have to start where you should have started in the first place. The choice is yours. This is your business. This is your future. You've got your preferences. I want you to understand you always have the ability to choose what fits you best. But know this, the allure, that seduction is going to be so strong. It's going to reflect what you've done in the past on commercial deals and stuff like that. That most founders that by the time I meet them have already had their false start and have serious regrets about it. So if you find yourself in a false start, guess what? You're probably just another statistic. So don't do it. Understand your cost, understand who you need, get your A.R.M.O.R team together, and go about this the right way. It'll be way cheaper, it'll be emotionally less stressful, it'll get a way better outcome. To start the process the way you should, and have the right people with you all the way through. So going deeper into what each professional charges, let's take a look at the full chart again. The hire number 1 line item, your architect, your M&A attorney. For tier 1 expedite deal, $25,000 to $75,000. Simple standard, $75,000 to $200,000. Complex standard, $200,000 to $400,000. Now that sounds like a lot, because it is. But this is your longest duration engagement. This is the person that helps save you money down the chain and helps you get to successful outcomes. And the work product that comes from your architect, your M&A attorney, will be the work product that actually locks in your favorable terms and protects the millions of proceeds that you're going to walk away from in this deal. So it's good value. Mathematician, which on your chart is sell side QB. This is $15,000 to $35,000 for expedited. This is going to be almost directly related to your size of your business, how many things they got to incorporate to value it. Simple standard, $30,000 to $60,000. Complex standard, $50,000 to $100,000. Now, we've already discussed that this is your highest ROI. And here in particular, your add backs will routinely pay many times, literally many times, because those add backs will get applied by a multiple. So then, next, we've skipped the advisors, investment bankers for a moment here, but that's because the way the success fees work is a little more complex, so I want to knock out the other ones first. So your tax counsel is your optimizer, tax counsel, 10 to 25,000 for expedited, 20,000 to 50,000 for simple standard, 40,000 to 100,000 for complex standard. Remember, good tax structuring versus bad tax structuring of your deal. Now, most people don't do any tax structuring. They just rely on form language and find out when they go file their taxes after they've got all the cash in the bank account, they've got a big problem. So, but good tax structuring versus bad tax structuring can be 10 to 25% after-tax net proceeds in your pocket. Now, reinforcements, we won't go into really much detail at all. 0 to 25,000 for expedited, simple standard 25,000 to 75,000, complex standard 75,000 to 200,000 plus. This is largely due to regulatory advisors once you start getting your business starts getting up there in complexity. Now let's talk about the Rainmaker. That is your M&A advisor or boutique investment banker. I say boutique because the level of transactions we're talking about here, we're not talking about Citigroup or a larger investment bank, JP Morgan Chase or something. We're talking about specialists that specialize in the types of transactions and the deal sizes that we're working in. And the reason I separate this one out is the fee structure is the most complex of the other aspects of the A.R.M.O.R team, but it's also often the most negotiable. And the fee world here, when it comes to the M&A advisor investment banking world, often splits down two different paths based on your deal size. So the first path is if you're selling a business that's, let's say, 5, 10 million or less, you're likely going to be working with a business broker. Now, these folks mostly work for pure commission, and that commission price is 5 to 12%. I largely see the range of 8 to 10%. And within that, they'll apply a formula called the double Lehman. Now, this is a tiered declining percentage that starts at 10% for your first million and then steps down as you reach higher purchase prices to get you sort of a blended rate overall. There's that formula. There's also just a flat percentage. Some of these will have a small retainer, and that's like 10,000 to 25,000. There are some that do no retainer, but most recently I usually see a small retainer plus sort of a double Lehman tiered structure. Now the percentages here you'll notice on the chart are higher than the larger transactions. And that is because it's essentially the same work to sell a $5 million company as it is to sell a $50 million company. Now, other side, if you're selling a $10 to $50 million range, you're gonna be working with a specialized M&A advisor or a boutique investment banker. Now, the math changes when you're at this level. You're gonna get a blended success fee somewhere in the 3 to 6% range. You'll notice 6% is like real estate level. That's for like the tens of millions, like the 10 millions range. And then you start seeing 2 to 4% when you get like 25 million and up. Now, the terms that'll be thrown around here would be something like modified Lehman, might be a flat percentage, might be an accelerator, which is opposite of your Lehman scale. That is when you get higher and higher purchase prices, the fee percentage goes up actually instead of down. Now, you might say, well, that's terrible. I want it to go down if I get more money. However, one of the essential points here is that the fee going up based on your purchase price going up, that you're clearing a lot more, you're gonna be clearing a lot more cash in that circumstance. And your M&A advisor will be aligned with you aligning incentives with you so that they'll be motivated to get you that top dollar. Now, retainers here for this level of M&A advisor are standard. I pretty much see them all the time. You might run into something like $5,000 to $10,000 a month, or you might do a $25,000 to $80,000 lump sum. And often these retainers will get applied against your success fee at the end. So you kind of get the money back if the deal closes. But your investment bank or M&A advisor is not out all the costs, all the time, all the effort, and get nothing out of it. And pure commission for this level is rare. And like I said, that's a good thing because you want to align incentives. And also, you're going to see features in your engagement letter for expense reimbursements, early terminate breakup fees if you want to switch bankers, tail period. Now this interesting that when you can pretty much terminate your M&A advisor and banker at any time. But when you do, for a period after that, if you sell your business, and there's ways you can modify this, but if you sell your business, they still get their success fee. The idea is they don't want to introduce you to a bunch of buyers, just have you terminate right before deal closes to avoid your success fee. However, sometimes you hire the wrong advisor, wrong investment banker, and they just can't get the job done and you got to hire somebody else. And these tails can really prevent you from getting back into the market with someone else. So they're mission critical. And importantly, whenever you're dealing with these engagement letters, they look like letters. They call them engagement letters. They are in fact an agreement. They are very binding. And particularly when you're dealing with something where you don't have to pay anything down to sign it, it's a lot easier to sign it. These are very serious agreements. Never sign one without having an experienced attorney review it. You will regret it, particularly if you plan to sell your business anytime soon.